Karibuni tena sana ndani ya Keyman Community Live. I am presenter MK and this is an amazing community of builders where we buy safe and build smart. Remember, if you are in construction, you can join Keyman Stores at www.keymanstores.com, or if you are in need of any service in construction or materials in construction, you can also ingia pale www.keymanstores.com and look for people hapo kwa Keyman Stores ambao watakupatia hiyo service ama that product. Remember, do not trade without a contract ukiwa ndani ya Keyman Stores, because only trade with those people who are verified hapo kwa Keyman Stores. And again, remember, you have an opportunity of coming here just like we are having Alex here. We always have Lydia McKelvin. We have our systems architects na watu wengi wenye wamekuja hapa. So hata wewe, when you onboard on Keyman Stores and get a KS number, that is the only ticket ya kukuja hapa Keyman Community Live and talk to people, tell them what you do in construction or market yourself just for free. Our today's topic is cheap expensive in construction? Ama cheap is expensive, right? But we want to find out, how is it expensive in construction? What are the things that you do in construction and you later on find out that enyewe this has costed me a lot na singefanya in this way. And yesterday we looked at underpricing and costing and underpricing, and we said that how costing is not guesswork. Leo pia tunaangalia underpricing vizuri. Sorry, yesterday was costing. Today tunaangalia underpricing. What would make a person undercharge or underprice a service or maybe materials? Sindio. Allow me to welcome the one and only Alex, who is a master in construction na atakuwa anatusaidia explore that topic. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Yes.
Baridi huko kwenye umetoka?
Sana. Lakini we are managing.
Yeah, yes. We must manage anyway. Yes. Alex, today we are talking about cheap work becomes expensive. And maybe you can start us off by telling us what does cheap really mean when it comes to construction? We know cheap, we know it kila mahali, yes. But where does it reach in construction? Unasema hii ni cheap.
Basically because most of the people who engage you to do the work, definitely they have done a bit of research for themselves. They could even have gotten a quote from other people.
Yeah.
There is nobody who develops or does a system in construction without first of all talking to people who are in the know.
Yes.
Therefore, maybe even your competitors. So sometimes they collect the figures from different sources so that now when they start engaging, they know at least what range will this cost.
Yes.
And by the time now they come to engaging the fundis, for example,
yes,
if you are being engaged to do electrical works, at that point, there is already a point at which they know it should range between 10,000 and 20,000.
Right.
So if you come with 5,000, the first thing will be to write you off. And many fundis do not realize that.
Yes.
The person you are talking to is not totally ignorant. It's just that they can't do that work because you are trained to do the ABCs.
Yes.
But at least when you tell them about the cost, they have done some basic groundwork. They could even have asked 2 or 3 other people. But then when you are the fundi, you want to get the job. And that's where now cheap comes in. You come in and try to underquote everyone. But now, the problem, the crunch time comes when if you ever get that job.
Yes.
Because there's also the very high chance you will not get it. Because if you're asking for 5,000 when everybody else was between 10 and 20, the owner of the business will say there's definitely something wrong with the work you're doing.
Right.
Or you don't know exactly what you're quoting. So you can lose the job at that point.
Yes.
Secondly, if for example you are doing secondary work, you're not being hired by the developer, but maybe by a foreman, and then you accept to do the work. Once you start doing the work, it becomes too expensive because now you realize materials only without your labor
Right.
will be beyond that 5,000.
Uh-huh.
So you will end up losing.
Yes.
Either leaving the site, which is very embarrassing because now it means in future you might not be able to get work from that person.
Uh-huh.
Or you end up doing now shoddy work
Yes.
to cover for, because you don't have the money to cover it.
Uh-huh.
So in this sector, it is very, yes, I know the competition is there.
Yes.
But it would be best if some people could just look at the job first.
Uh-huh.
If I am to do this job, it requires this amount.
Uh-huh.
And therefore, my quotation will be the best that
Yep.
I can do and still do a good job.
Right.
Yes.
I've just thought about something right now.
Yeah.
We are saying cheap is expensive.
Yes.
And of course, when you go to, an example, a hardware,
Yeah.
you will find different types of materials. Hata kama ni tiles, there are those which are cheap than others.
Yes.
Then if cheap is expensive and you know when you use something cheap, it's going to cost you,
Yeah.
then why do these cheap ones exist?
Exactly. I do remember sometimes going to other countries and finding out that sometimes this market for the cheap things is driven by the users.
Yes.
There's a country I know that what they do is they look for, let's say, let me give you a very easy example. They see a jacket like this and say they like that jacket.
Okay.
So they buy it from the original manufacturer or the distributor. Then they go to a factory and say, I want a jacket of this kind, but I want it to cost this amount. So there has developed a complete market for the third world, unfortunately, where now the factories go according to the demand. That jacket from the original manufacturer is 3,000 shillings.
Yes.
But you go with a sample of it and you tell them the manufacturer now, the new one, I need it for 1,500.
Yes.
Because you want to sell it for 2,000. So the same jacket you might see, and I know you know that.
Yes.
This is 3,000, this is 2,000. Why? Because now they sourced for cheap material in order to fit with your budget.
Right.
So there is a secondary market for making cheaper things because the market is driving the demand. Yes. But the real people know that a tile of the floor tile should cost between 900 shillings per box to 1,200. But here comes somebody else who wants a cheaper version. It looks very glossy, but it costs 600. So definitely the manufacturer will make it worth 600.
Yes.
So unfortunately, the secondary market for cheaper is there.
Right. Now, in construction, why would a client choose to, choose lowest price when they know that, okay, najua nimekuuliza, but outside that, outside ama in form of materials. Now, a client mwenye ana choose cheap, you see?
Yes.
What would make them choose that, apart from maybe protecting money or something? What would be that?
Most likely, it's usually trying to protect and use the least possible amount of money to get work done, or that construction done. But for someone, for example, who is building their home, they also want it to be for a long term. You know, in construction, we look at that a house might stay 50 years. So if somebody decides to use the cheaper material for a period of time, they know they are going to come back and do repairs. But at that time, maybe that's all they had.
Yes.
So yes, the client might actually choose the cheaper one.
Okay, so it's
Because
an option.
Because of what their pocket is telling them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, why would a fundi agree to work
Again,
lower their price? The same thing.
Again, the same thing. The demand drives the need. So when a fundi sees that he cannot help me as the owner of the business to buy the good materials, he'll go by what I advise. But at least a fundi would have told him, tukiweka easy, in 4 years time you might have to replace them. But if the client is ready to do that, fine. So at least also the client also drives the business.
Yes.
So sometimes it's not just the fundi undercutting. The client could also determine what is going to be done. Because akisema yeye anataka hizo za 600, you want the work. So you will end up doing it.
Yes.
But we will try to advise the fundis, to advise the clients. Yes, you might want this cheaper one, but it will cost you, because 4 years down the line, you'll have to redo the work. Yeah.
But now, are you trying to say that cheap always bad, or is there a limit?
There is a reason why it's called cheap. Cheap means there is another version,
Yes.
but this is cheap. It means therefore there is the good one which should be done.
Yes.
But now you're looking to evade paying the higher price, and that's why there's a cheap one. So many times the cheap one is either not going to last, is not good enough, or it is a temporary measure. Yes.
All right.
Or for example, if you are constructing, let's say you have a lease of 5 years,
Yes.
and you want to set up a showroom, that's the time now I would understand if somebody went for something cheaper, because they don't expect to be there more than 5 years. Your lease is only, so if you are told this tile is 5 years, that's what you'll buy.
Yes.
But if you are going to be, it's something for a permanent construction, then you'll want the best out of it. So cheap has its place. Yes.
All right. There are times when a client might realize that this fundi has charged me a very low price.
Yes.
What are the reasons ambazo zitafanya client realize that he is too cheap? Maybe he won't provide the best.
Because like I said, many times when now the client is looking for something to be done or construction to be undertaken, they will have a notion, or they will have asked 2 or 3 people who are in the know, those who know. For example, if they might come and look at a house and ask, well, how much did this cost? And maybe they're asking the owner of the house. Then you are told it was 6 million. They look at it and therefore they have an estimate. If I have 7 million, I can be able to do this house because this one was done 3 years ago. So you see, he has a rough idea, you know.
Yes.
But still engages now, for example, a quantity surveyor or a structural engineer or a mechanical engineer to now do the actuals.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, if they engage the contractor, I mean the contractor now, the one who will do the actual work, he might now charge much less than what the quantity surveyor would have charged, because the quantity surveyor knows what kind of bars are required for this pillar, what kind of tiles, what kind of everything. So if therefore the person does not go that full length, you will find that the work that was originally set to be done in a certain way is not done. Yes.
All right. Is there any way that underpricing would lead to things like shortcuts on site?
Definitely. Definitely.
Talk to us about the ways.
You see, the fundis are all competing for that job, for example. Then now, whoever wins maybe is a person who wants to undercut everyone else, so he underprices. So when it comes to doing the actual work, they realize that, wow, I can't finish this job with that amount of money. So what will happen? They will start looking for shortcuts. You remember? So
Like?
if we are for this tile to be applied here, there is a layer of cement that's supposed to be put on before it is set. They will come and put a small portion of it. Next time people are stepping on the tile, what happens? In a crack. That is shoddy work. It could have been avoided, but because they are priced, unfortunately. Yes, and that's where supervision now comes in.
There's an example we talked about with Brian. When and I know maybe you have ever talked about na wewe, but acha turudi kidogo. Whenever a fundi amefanya kazi and then hivyo materials imeisha nini, but it's because they undercharged from mwanzo, so cost inakuwa ya nani? Okay, tulisema mtu anaweza kataa kurudi mfuko, but si uli undercharge, si urudi kwa mfuko yako ama?
That's easier said than done. Kurudi kwa mfuko is very expensive. So definitely the fundi will try to look for ways and means. Unfortunately in the construction sector, and that's why a lot of people are paid on a weekly, some are even paid on a daily basis. Others weekly. Very few, maybe only the contractor gets paid on a monthly basis or per completion certificate.
Yes.
So the ones who are paid regularly on short-term basis, itafika pahali the best thing is to disappear from the work.
Oh, because they even don't have something to cover.
They have no money to cover what is required now. They have found they are short, but what do? Except disappear.
Run away.
Run away. You have no money to pay whatever is required.
Yes.
But big contractors now know they will never get their final payment until they finish the work. Now they take shortcuts.
Oh, so they still need to remain in that job.
Yes. Yes. There's even something called, I think it's in the construction sector, they kind of withhold final payment until the building is done, it's inspected, and the certificate of occupancy given. Then you are paid the final amount. So the contractor is forced to stay on site until that certificate is issued. So you see the contractor now, therefore, even if he has done short the work, he still has to cover until he is paid.
Yeah.
But a fundi will just disappear. Yeah.
Hey, but now, what will they be eating if they are paid after the work is done? Because a construction max who take how long? Kujenga nyumba.
For example, the house might take a whole 2 years. There are people, yes, depending on material supply, labor, depending on so many things.
Okay.
But consistently, if someone has everything inside, the fundis, the materials, everything, the certificates, everything is ready. 6 months can be done these days.
Sasa ningoje 6 months, Alex.
No, you see what happens? We agree when we are starting the job with the contractor, if I'm the developer. You do the foundation works and you put the walls up and you do the roof.
Yeah.
You bring a certificate from the quantity surveyor or the architect who is supervising the work. Once you show that that part of the job has been done, I make part payment. For example, 1/3 I paid. I could even have paid for what we call logistics. So depending on the certificate I get according to the stages, I can keep paying you, but you have to complete that particular area. So many of these contractors have something called completion certificate. That means we decide we are taking this foundation, you pay me. We do the walls, you pay me. We do the roof, you pay me. We do the finishing, you pay me. Then now you wait for the final payment. So again, the contractor does not have to wait until the end of the. It is too long. It goes by stages. You get a completion certificate and get paid for that portion. Yeah.
I'm thinking now, what if you kick the buckets and you have not even eaten any amount of your?
I don't think there's any contractor who would accept that they will do the whole job to be paid at the end. No. They usually have stages and they get a certificate for each stage and they get paid.
Yes. Yeah. And there are areas that are mostly affected by cutting costs. Maybe it's say the workers, labor, mini material.
Do you live in Kenya?
I live in Kenya, Alex.
You have seen roads being done and 3 months down the line they have potholes. Or because somebody quoted this amount for per kilometer, which is 1/3 of the other quotations.
Yes.
So they'll come and put a thin layer of tarmac on top of Mara.
Yes.
The moment the vehicles start using the road, in a bambuka. So that is a very clear show that somebody underpriced. Yes. But unfortunately, it's a whole setup. The engineer who is supposed to be the resident engineer for that project, for the contractor to be paid, he has to sign that it has been done. So what happens when he has been compromised? He will sign knowing very well this guy has put 1 inch and they had agreed on 6 inches. And that's why you're seeing even road construction jobs, bridges, they are going to foreign companies because foreign companies have a standard. They will not do certain jobs. If the tarmac says 1 foot, they will do 1 foot. And they will do a nice profile of the road after finishing.
Yes.
But now our contractors here, they compromise the engineer to sign for them that it is being done, yet it is not done, so that they give 30% to that. We are killing our own country. And this is happening even in now good construction. For example, if somebody is developing 20, 30 houses, you compromise the supervisors, the mechanical engineers. They sign for you, you get paid. Meanwhile, the moment people get into those houses, they start falling. But the contractor is nowhere to be seen.
Yes.
So unfortunately, that is another stage we might have to discuss about corruption at the construction sites.
Yes.
Because corruption is so prevalent in construction.
And by the way, someone would assume that corruption kwa construction sites.
Oh, you compromise the person who is supposed to supervise the work, and they look the other way. They pretend the tiles were properly done, yet they are not properly done. Because by the time you come to inspect the houses, you only see the finish. But underneath that tile, hakuna cement ya kutosha. So, unfortunately, it happens a lot.
Right.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us right now, this is Keyman Community Live, brought to you courtesy of www.keymanstores.com. Remember, you have an opportunity of sitting where Alex is sitting today and talk to us about what you do in construction. Whether you are a service provider, you sell materials in construction, and a good example is you have a hardware, and this is the perfect place for you to be. We say that we are a community of builders and we enable you to buy safe and build smart. You can join Keyman Stores and get your digital store there. Thank you for keeping it Keyman Community Live. We continue with our discussion. Alex, have you ever come across a site where people are demotivated because of low pay?
Definitely. Unfortunately, the labor laws in Kenya, or the follow-up to the labor laws, where you say a fundi, a mason should be paid this amount, a carpenter this amount, sometimes gets compromised because people are competing for the same jobs. So unfortunately, a contractor decides he's going to pay for the cheapest. So that again, the same thing we are talking about, corruption. They know that a mason is supposed to be paid 1,500 shillings or 2,000 shillings per day.
Yeah.
But they look for the one who will charge 1,500. But they charge the developer 2,000. So that they keep 500 shillings per day from every mason. You see, that is... so what will the mason be forced to do? Cut corners. So it's unfortunate it happens. People get so demotivated, amelipwa pesa kidogo, but they need the job, so they keep doing it. But they are doing it with one eye, looking for the next one. They will abandon you as the moment they get a higher one.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
By the way,
They will abandon it. Yeah.
it's like how people are poached
Exactly.
from work.
From workplaces, yes. Today you have 20 fundis who come to work for you.
Yeah.
Then another guy opens a site, and suddenly you have no fundi. You start going to look for them.
Yes.
And that's why you'll always see. I used to see that on the streets of Nairobi one time. These painters would be seated somewhere outside a hardware, waiting for anyone who will come to hire them.
Yeah.
But that would mean, therefore, the contractor did not have their own contacts. Yeah.
Right. Do you have a worst case scenario where a fundi of something a fundi did because of, demotivation from low pay? Kama unakumbuka kuna video, sijui kama ni wewe ulikuwa kwa show, mtu anabomoa whatever inaitwa
Whatever they had
gyps,
the gypsum.
anaitoa. I think for me that was
Very
like
hurting.
yeah.
For who? Who did
Okay.
you feel for? Who did,
Oh my God. Okay.
Who did you
You
feel?
know, I didn't know what ni nini. Okay, reason ilikuwa hakulipwa after
Yes,
doing the work.
He had finished the work.
Okay,
I remember seeing it.
I feel for the fundi first of all, juu hakulipwa na alifanya kazi. But again, I feel for that person juu sasa ataanza tena zero.
Exactly. Materials zake zimeisha.
Yeah.
He had paid for the labor, and now they have to redo it. There's no way you can repair it.
Yeah.
Gypsum. So you have to pull it down, which is a cost.
Yes.
A fundi might stay a whole day pulling it down.
Wow.
Then now buy materials afresh, get another fundi to redo the work. So it's a pity both of them lost. But I feel worse for the fundi. Because to reach a point where you have constructed something like that, and then have to break it down yourself.
Must be very mad.
But I don't blame them. One site which we were supervising.
Yeah.
And you see the way they do. I told you the best example of knowing a carpenter who knows his job. Can you remember that lesson? Let me remind you.
Remind
because you
me,
might not.
please.
For a contractor to know that a carpenter is good at his work, they give them those kitchen drawers.
Ah,
If they can
it's all I
make
remember.
them and fit them, and, so that they open easily.
Ikitoka smoothly.
Ikitoka smoothly and it is not hanging, mlango inafungika vizuri. So this guy had done wardrobes.
Yes.
And then I went to pull, and they were sticking on the side. They wouldn't flow in or out. They would stick, and then you'd have to push them aside for it to go in.
To go in.
You get so annoyed because you have talked to them several times.
Yeah.
So I just asked for a big hammer. And I broke it down. Rudia tena. He finishes the job, you tell him there's no labor because I had already paid you.
Yeah.
But because of the short work, but that fundi, because he was very good, I knew he had given someone else.
Okay. Ile unasema we chukua kamili.
Hii wacha nikuletea another person so that he holds two sites at the same time.
I get it.
Yeah, ameenda kwa site nyingine amewachia mtu mwenye hawezi. So we broke it down and he had to redo the work. But you see, it's still a cost because that material is wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We take a very short break. We're coming to continue with our discussion, which is cheap work becomes expensive. This is Keyman Community Live. I am presenter MK PMK. Welcome back, amazing people, to this amazing, safe and smart space. We are happy to have you kwa live yetu and also watu wa TikTok. Asanteni sana for joining us. Remember, this is Keyman Community Live, brought to you courtesy of www.keymanstores.com. Kuna watu wanajiuliza, je, nikitaka kukuja kwenye show nitafanya nini? You just need to text us via 0757 539 000 on WhatsApp. Tuambie pale unataka kukuja kwa show. Vile vile ukitaka kukua plug ama mtu ambaye ana an extra income kwa Keyman Stores, text your number or reach us via our social platforms, that is Instagram, TikTok and YouTube and of course Facebook, and mambo itakuwa sawa sawa. Our topic is cheap work becomes expensive, na tunaangalia in which ways cheap work inakuwa expensive. Alex.
Yes.
There's underpricing, Yes. Still hapo kwa underpricing. Does it affect decision making in a project, and how?
Definitely, because okay, the good thing is where there is different layers of in the organization. So there are those who know exactly what is supposed to be done on that site.
Yes.
If they don't underprice at that, they give the proper prices at that point. The chances, therefore, of shoulder work being done in between is lower. When you have a good architect, a good mechanicals, and a structural engineer, electrician, all these guys, quantity surveyors, when they are in agreement that this project should cost this, because materials is this, labor is this, and the contractor is having this manpower, that is supposed to work very well. Problem comes when sometimes we think because somebody has been a contractor for years, now they can be given the project to build the house themselves.
Yes.
And because they have done these pillars, they have done these walls, they have done these windows, what happens? They decide they can do it. Not knowing that for that pillar to be done, somebody had known how much weight is supposed to be held, is supported by that pillar.
Yes.
So I need this amount of concrete, this amount of bars, this amount of whatever it is. So if people work the projects the way they are supposed to work,
Yes.
and everybody does their portion, that means you don't compromise on the standard. You have given the right pricing, so you buy the correct material.
Yeah.
The project will be very well done. But where people now try to remove the mechanical engineer and decide, the architect said there's a pillar, then let's just have the contractor do it. Chaos.
Right.
Yes.
And what would happen, or what happens when time is reduced to fit a low budget?
Very wrong. Very wrong. Because certain things are supposed to work for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
If it is the concrete setting, you cannot rush it. You can only okay, you remember the example I gave you when we say the house there's somebody already doing houses in 6 months and it's ready and it's a mansionette. 4-bedroom compound, landscaping, everything,
Yeah.
even the perimeter wall. What this person does, and it made a lot of sense. We know that concrete is supposed to take 21 days for it to set. What he does so that he goes to the upper room, he does not remove the scaffolding and support from the lower part. That means, therefore, as he's doing the 8, 14, 13, 15 days, he's also doing the next roof.
Yes.
Sorry, not roof, but slab. Because the supports are still here,
Yeah.
it will still take 21 days. But what the previous contractors used to do is once they set it, they'll wait 21 days so that they start the next slab. But this person retains the support system, watering every day, and he's able to continue with the work, and that's why he's able to cut time.
Yeah.
But now the problem is where the contractor agrees because of the pressure from the client or from maybe another site,
Right.
when they decide to cut time for things that cannot be done without that time being spent.
Yes.
That's where the problem comes in. And unfortunately, or rather now, people know certain things have to take a certain period of time. You can't compress it too much.
Yes.
Yes, unless you have a new technology that is helping you reduce the timing.
Yes.
Yes.
How does cheap work damage trust between a client?
Oh, you can imagine. The moment you do cheap work, oh, you can imagine it's not something you can rewind.
Yes.
Hakuna repeat. Or what do you call it in hakuna comeback?
Haina
The
comeback
moment
here.
it's done badly, that person will forever hate that portion of work that was done badly. They can't do anything about it. So, do you think they would recommend you who did the job to another client? So, when trust is lost in a construction site, there is a ripple effect. You will not get new jobs.
Yes.
You will not get referrals. You will not get referred to someone else.
Yes.
And even now, your cost, your payments would come lower. If you are a contractor who did some shoddy work somewhere,
Yes.
now somebody will leverage and tell you, unasikia wewe ndio ulifanya ile kazi lakini haikufanyika vizuri. So now you're already compromised. You'll charge much less than you'd have charged because your name is already, the trust has gone down.
Yes.
So it is always expensive at the end of the day. Yeah.
Mpaka wewe inakuuma because everybody is telling you.
Because everybody reminds you of that you didn't do.
Yes.
For example, there is this famous road around one of the counties where we are.
Is it Nyoka Road?
No, that's too far. Just around here, and a contractor was given 500 million to do a job. 500
million?
And decided to do it for 250.
The
next thing, he's been in jail now for the last 6 years. Because unfortunately, the people who signed for you quickly disappear. You are the one on site. You never get another job. You get charged to pay 250 million. By the way, I think there's a standard rule now when you're caught with corruption.
Yeah.
You pay 3 times that amount. So if you had been paid 500 million,
you paid
1.5 billion. Yes. That's the rule of the EACC.
That's very good because we can't keep on working with
exactly.
Watu ambao wanatunyanyasa.
And they steal our money.
Yes.
We have to go back to our pocket and pay again. Because what people don't realize, when a contractor does a poor road, it affects everybody in that area.
Yes.
And it is our taxes. So when this thing of watching a cut corner here, cut corner here, it's affecting all of us.
Yeah.
So therefore, 1.5 billion he couldn't pay, so he went to jail. Now think, a contractor who could get 250 million, or maybe he would have gotten 100 million net, is in jail. Will he ever do that work again?
Hawezi.
He's delisted.
Yeah.
He can never get those tenders again.
Yes. Career yake ni kama imeisha.
Exactly. You might as well go and look for something else to do.
Yes.
So what if that was your lifeline? So it might look very interesting at the short term.
Yes.
But in long term, there is a big cost to pay. Yeah.
And I think that's why we are having Keyman stores, because trusted people, verified people people who have worked with other people, and that's why wako hapo ndani, because you get to see people who have worked with them, nani, it is evident that you can trust to work with them. Sio kuchukua
One of the things that made me agree to come and be on this show
Yes.
was what I saw Keyman is trying to achieve. And that was bring people who are doing decent work, people who are supplying decent materials,
Yes.
people who are got proper labor, they are certified. Bring them together, but still don't trust everyone.
Yes.
Let everyone have a contract.
Exactly.
That means when I get that person to do this work,
Yeah.
he has been verified that he can do the job. He has done this job before. When we give him work, the contract is the one that holds the two of us together.
Yes. Yes.
Until I say I'm happy with the work done, he won't get paid.
Exactly.
So he has reason
Yeah.
to do the correct thing. So Keyman Stores, I think, is going to fit in very well in the construction industry because of now bringing trust and then still going a step further, not just trust, but the fact that there's a contract existing. You'll only get paid when the client says you did the right job or supplied the correct material or you brought the correct labor. So Keyman Stores is going to be a game changer.
Exactly. You hear that? If you have not joined the Keyman Stores and you are in construction, then this is the right time to do that, because you only need a phone number and an email. Ingia hapo, pata your digital store there and get to trade with other people hapo ndani. Alex, what hidden costs are created by underpricing?
Exactly, because when you're underpriced, therefore, at the end of the day, you can imagine you had told me it's going to cost 30,000.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me we are already on 35,000. I might decide, okay, you might not have been very exact,
Yes.
but 5,000 we can manage. But now when you are telling me at 45,000 and it cannot be completed,
Yes.
that hidden cost is too much for my project. So I am tempted
Yes.
to kick you out. But then I also remember I have spent so much money on you. So I'm in a terrible situation. Yes, that's why the houses, for example, that was supposed to cost 6 million to build ends up being 8 million.
Yes.
Who is supposed to pay this 2 million? When you had given me the cost of the house will be 6.
Yes.
But after you have done it for 1 year, now you're telling me to add another 2 million for it to be complete. So this is what now makes people even shy away from engaging contractors. Because at the end of the day, you see, wow, 2 million out of 6 million, that's a very high percentage increase.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I feel that you didn't know your job and you therefore underpriced? Maybe you underpriced so that you get the job, but look how costly, because now some contractors are being held to account. It's a contract. You have to finish this job for 6 million. Now you realize you cannot finish this. What do? You start taking corners. When you cut corners,
Yeah.
you compromise the job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me give you a certain example we talked about yesterday. People are going on a hike somewhere, and you have to kuangalia fuel, chakula hivyo, and then they forget about that, because they kule wakipanga walisema we will charge you this amount, but they forgot about fuel nini. So pale mwisho
Yes.
mafuta, hakuna pesa ya mafuta. So what would happen to those who are planning?
That is exactly why some of these things we always ask, have you planned another trip, a hike like that one?
Okay.
Are you experienced in it? So that we know that now the cost you give us is actually going to do the work. So think of that hike.
Yes.
Now are you going to leave people in their badeas?
The mountain.
Because mafuta imeisha?
Naambia hatuwezi rudi nyumbani.
Would you ever go back to that company that was organizing that?
Hapana.
And unfortunately today, you need to protect your name and your company. The moment you do poor work like that, people go on social media, they Anika, you call it Anika, they put that information there. The next thing, people will not, even people who would have given you that work, decide they will not touch you. So you lose much more by not doing the right thing.
Yes. But then that's why me every day I tell them to hike with Adventure Go Kenya. You know Adventure Go
Adventure
Kenya?
Go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even you, I must tell them to take you for hiking.
They will be surprised. I would be
Or
ready.
hata kama si kupanda milima,
Yeah.
utembee kwa msitu, uone waterfalls.
No. Me, I've done enough.
You've done,
Because I've
but
climbed,
you can
I've
do
done
another one.
longer, not more than 5 times.
Hiking. Oh yeah.
You climb and you go around the caldera. Yes.
So in short, I've never had such cases na Adventure Go Kenya.
Oh.
Ati hawakuketa for nini. It is trusted people, verified. You know.
They want their name.
Yeah.
They want their
Who
referral.
wouldn't want that?
Exactly. So when you do the right thing, there are so many people who will want to encourage you. They will bring you new clients, and the people who go happy, they will represent you. They will market for you. Your marketing budget will be lower because you did the right thing. Now they are telling their friends, if you want to go to this place or this hike,
Adventure Go Kenya. How does underpricing now affect a builder's business growth?
oh, they lose out. If they underprice,
Yeah.
they cut corners or they are covering the cost. So they lose. Those two ways are just too expensive.
Cutting
A builder cannot keep cutting or having to cover for having underpriced. Now they go back to their pocket. For how long? Then it means they're not in serious business.
Yes.
They would rather even not start that job.
Yes.
Yeah. So there are builders who will tell you, unfortunately, I cannot do it for under 6 million because I've given you the costings. This is what it costs, and this is my percentage. If you can't do it for that, I am sorry, it can't work.
Yes.
Do you know somebody will go market and then think, no, this is my house. I think that guy was right.
Yeah.
Then they go and you have a good agreement, you get a good job. So yes, you might lose a few jobs here and there because some clients are looking for the cheaper cost. But at the end of the day, who are the ones who will last for long? The ones who price it right, do the job right. Price it right, do the job right. Yeah.
Any other cost maybe apart from what do we call it? Apart from financial costs and reputation maybe? What else would cost?
Reputational damage is quite big, first of all, yes. The financial loss, of course, and costings are very expensive. But then also there are those other associated costs. You see, like when it comes to certificate of, if a house is done, I don't know whether that is still being practiced in Kenya, where you cannot get into a house until you get a completion certificate and occupancy certificate. Now, when the estate, for example, you have done several houses and one did not take care of the drainage. So water keeps going into other people's compounds.
Yes.
Because of what you didn't do. That damage might not be costed anywhere, but it causes irritation to other clients and other neighbors. So, and unfortunately, that's why these days one of the selling points is build community. What do they call it? Gated community.
Gated community, yeah.
Because they expect everyone to do their portion, so that we know drainage kila mtu anajenga mpaka of this standard, of this height, of this, so water does not flow into other people's places. So there are some damages which you cannot cost.
Yes.
But if now a shoddy job was done within that gated community, then the reputation of that estate goes down, which can never be costed by money. Yeah.
I see someone here on WhatsApp. I think they're watching from YouTube. Sharon Shabil saying that hapa kwa cheap is expensive. Hiyo nayo ni ukweli.
It is.
Watu huku nje wamefanyiwa maneno na cheap is expensive. Also Lucy Kare, asante sana. Ni kama watu wamefanyiwa maneno huku nje.
Oh, people have bad stories and it's unfortunate because the money was still spent. Yeah.
Right. And I want us to now look at how we will avoid cheap work. So what's the first thing that fundis should consider before taking the low job?
That they understand their job, their role, their cost. So that when they are costing a job, they know below a certain amount, I cannot do it.
Yes.
if material is not of this standard, I warn the owner that this, whatever I had presented in my portfolio, that your wardrobes are going to look like this. They will not look like this if you buy the wrong type of materials. If you set the standards and you say, I will not do a job below this amount, but if the client insists, I warn them early enough that it will not be what we had agreed
Yes.
it will look like. For example, though, you know, there are so many types of boards to be used for wardrobes. If you use the wrong type and then water leaks, the plumber has not finished the work ya tanks huko juu.
Yes.
You have done the wardrobes in the bedrooms.
Yeah.
Water leaks. Some of those boards that you have used are the kind that absorb water. The next thing, they bulge.
Yes.
So even before you enter the house, the wardrobe cannot be used. So who will you blame? The plumber or the one who selected the material? Secondly,
Materials.
if there was a good foreman, they would have decided the tank must be finished before we put the wardrobe. So you see, that's why Keyman Stores is in this space.
Yes.
Can we have people who know exactly what should come first? So you're not having a fundi doing under the tank, a fundi doing woodwork, and the tank could still leak. Until it is finished, let them not do that part.
Yes.
So those kind of things are what makes us keep going to experienced people, people who have a reputation, people who have done it before. And I think it is, people are going to have an easier time. Like those members who have said, huku nje watu wamefanyiwa vituko. It's because they have suffered the consequences. Yeah.
Right. Would that also make people in the construction industry be able to price services very well without losing clients?
Exactly, exactly. Yes, you'll lose a few because as we said, there's a demand for those ones who want to spend less. People want to cut corners, who want to use cheaper material. They are looking at the bottom line of the cash. But at the end of the day, what happens? You lose the few, but you'll gain a long-term business because you are doing the right thing. Yeah.
Right. I keep on asking myself, prices za services for construction, nani aliset ati fundi nani aliset mafundi
It's a very gray area. But generally, there are guidelines. For example, I think the National Construction Authority has certain, they have set certain standards, I think. I'm not so sure because I've not seen them published, where now it is declared that in construction, a mason, an electrician, mtu wa mkono, all those setups are there. But there is kind of the unwritten code among contractors that mtu wa mason wa mawe analipwa this amount. The helper mwenye analeta mawe analipwa this amount. It's kind of an unwritten code.
Yes.
But I do think that the National Construction Authority has now standardized certain things. So services are a bit gray area. One electrician might charge 50,000. Another one decides 40,000. It's a bit, it has no standards.
Yes.
But at least it's within a certain range.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about value? How can value be explained to clients? Because, or maybe accounting for whatever amount you're charging. That one and the value now.
You see now the value system comes from the client because the client wants a certain standard. Then they should know that that standard costs this.
Okay.
If they decide not to take that standard, then it's up to them. But you have given them what it means. Yes. Yeah. Let's not be shy as fundis and contractors in telling the clients the cost of things. Yeah.
So do you give them options and tell them, if I do this for you, this and this is going to happen. If I do with this amount, knowing very well that ukifanya na hii ya chini mambo inaweza haribika na ikiharibika reputation yako, or do you just stick with that?
I think both ways. It's a bit tricky because because the client also might be depending on you to know exactly how to go about it. So when you give them the option and tell them for this it requires A, B, and C. For this one requires C, D, and E. If you go with this, we might have a problem with this.
Yes.
If you give those options, the client is more willing to trust you. But now, when they choose the option, When now it comes to costing your work, that standard should not, now you shouldn't compromise on your standard because you know what you can achieve. You know what you are capable of. Yes.
Right. Brian, you can start preparing for the questions as I ask this last question now. Does trust help in, clients accepting the fair pricing? Lazima kukue kuko na ile relationship fulani ya client na builder.
Yes.
Ndio ati ukimwambia price fulani anajua. Is it a must?
Yes, because that trust is the one that will make the developer or the builder and the whoever, the two parties, when they trust each other, I know you'll give me the right pricing, and I know you'll get me the right work services to be done. So when I trust what you're telling me is true, we are more likely to have a better agreement. But when I'm looking out and listening with the third ear, whether you are lying to me, we are likely to compromise. And compromise is costly for construction.
Right. Amazing. Remember, Keyman Address Airbnb is a place in Nyeri County where you can go relax after building, ladies and gentlemen. Kama wewe ni fundi, hauko limited, wewe jenga maliza, uende upumzike pale ukitaka siku 2, 3 nini, na utakuwa sawa sawa ama namna gani Alex? Hiyo ya Airbnb pia, hiyo pia tutakusort hiyo pia.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
Uende upumzike kule Nyeri County, uangalie milima na mabonde ya Nyeri.
Definitely.
Unaona?
Yes.
Amazing. Brian?
I like that.
That is so funny. Anyway.
Nimetoshea by the way.
Next time tuambie hata tukusongeshe kidogo.
Nimetoshea.
Sawa sawa.
Thank you so much for
You're welcome.
coming. Umejibu maswali zangu mingi actually. But I'd like to hear from your point of view.
Yeah.
Have you had an experience with low, quote less?
Yes. The previous place I was where they were doing housing, where they would do like 30, 40 houses at a go. We had a lot of competing pricing. And because sometimes influence, you see, like the boards of different organizations could also influence on who gets picked for the work. So we had several instances where certain people would be picked, yet they were not the best. Why? Because that person has influence on the board. And where you don't have strict boards and you are doing 30 houses, then you bring somebody who will do the doors, especially metallic doors for the outsides. And the next thing you have are doors that are not closing well, they are grinding, the locks are not properly aligned. It is very expensive now to redo once they have been fitted. But if the right thing had been done from the beginning, do one door, fit it, let us see how it fits in, then now do the rest. So you have a competitive system of picking the people who will do the work. That would have been the best thing. So I remember people getting into the houses and suddenly doors are not locking. You see, the job has to be given now again to someone else to align that. That's very expensive. Because it's like we have spent another 30% on top of what should have been done. Because maybe the one who finished the doors just left the site and went to do something else. Now your clients are here ready to enter the houses because you have already sold. What do? You take it upon yourself now to have it repaired. So it's very expensive. So magnified. Imagine if 2 doors per client and there are 30 houses, that's 60 doors being reworked. That's how expensive it can get. Yeah.
Even if it's 10 shillings, it's still an extra cost.
It's 10 shillings for the actual door. There's the labor. There's the time. Yes.
It's expensive.
All those are resources being wasted. Yeah. So that's why it is very important to do the right thing at the right time, at the beginning.
Nice. Now, you have a question?
No, continue.
Okay. Now, in this case, now there is that part of quite cheap is expensive, so and then there are these now. I don't want to say per se government, but in some cases, kuna projects are given. Understand? the bidding process always is the most inakuwagaje?
The tendering system.
Yes, the tendering system. What happens? Inakuwaga the highest bidder or the lowest bidder?
It's supposed to be the lowest bidder.
The lowest bidder.
But there is always caveats. There is always conditions. Because by the time we're asking people to tender, we already have our technical team have already said, for this job to be done, it is 200 million.
Yes.
So anybody bidding 220 is acceptable. Beyond that, anybody saying 170, they are kicked out already because our technical team have said this thing cannot be done under 200. Then you come and say, I want to be the lowest, I'll do 170. You get kicked out.
Yes.
Again, if you come and say 250, you get kicked out.
Yes.
So now they have a range of who to. Then there is the technical capacity, there is the financial capacity. So it's not always the lowest bidder. It's also their capacity to do the job. Yeah.
So the point is, they give out that tendering process, and then you may find they will take they know the amount
Yes.
they want.
Yes.
So they take the lowest bidder.
Yeah.
Then give him that ultimate amount.
Yeah.
And then
Are you being political?
I'm not being political.
Because there was this just last week.
Ala,
Yes.
No, I don't know actually.
ameongeleshwa na Roho Mtakatifu.
No, I have never been in
Yes,
such
we're a contractor, and I will
circumstances.
not mention the contract because it might be tricky. 22 was the lower bidder. After doing technical evaluation, financial capacity, all that, bid for 22 billion. Then another one bid for 27. The 27 one was given the contract. And then today, they can appeal.
Yes.
The 22 person appealed. And then now ikalipuka into the open. That person had been told, you will get the job for 27, but this 7, this
Okay.
5,
Not yours.
this 5 is not yours. It's a shame.
I've never seen that same thing. I actually don't know what happened
Yes.
about that, but I've never seen that thing before because I've worked with contracts before. I've worked with a contractor before. Na Jumino nilikuwa namsaidia kujaza the
quantity.
Niambia weka variation, nipe variation ya like 20% of
Okay.
what we've
Yes.
done,
Yeah.
because that is what they are saying. This 20% is not ours. It's private per se.
Yes,
It's not
yes.
even governmental, it's private company. Nasema this 20% is not ours, it is for the engineer, the contractor, vitu kama hizo, that you just get that contract because it was highly competitive.
Yes.
So you see now that one trickles down to the cost.
Yes.
Now according to the book, you are given the whole
amount. Yes. So what happens when you get on the ground?
Yes.
You cut corners in order to accommodate the pricing, because now finally you never got this amount. So what happens? You do because these same people you have given the 20% are the ones who will certify that you finished the work. So it's a very bad system. But it does what is available now.
So in short, that's how
We get the work done. Yes.
And construction becomes expensive.
Very expensive.
Now-
Because a job that would have been done for that amount now has to be 50% more to accommodate who? These people being paid that.
Now, talking about costing in construction, why the cheapest is always the most expensive one. Now, there is a story of loans.
Yes.
For example, I want to build. Now, nitasema walai sina pesa, wacha niende mortgage. Ama walai sina pesa, let me take a loan. How does that come into play?
You see, that's the thing that really is compromising a lot of people, and some people are even losing their houses, their their businesses, because now when you have no money, or let me turn it around, in a classical case where a person does not have enough money, but they know that once this house is finished in the next 8 months, then I'll get tenants to start paying, then I can service my loan. Then the contractor does not finish in that time.
Hey.
The bank doesn't want to know.
Wewe ulikuwa
Wewe
umejipanga
ulikuwa
hivi.
umesema in 8 months I'll start repaying my loan. Because contractor alikwambia in 6 months tamaliza, then you give 2 months for getting tenants. Now from September I start paying. Contractor by September is still on site.
Oh my
You
God.
have no tenant. The bank just says, si ulisema,
Weka mali yangu.
hapa. They give you a warning 2 months.
Yeah.
The third month, they call auctioneers.
Ile yenye ulijenga.
So,
Everything goes.
So it's the same way na venye unasema wacha nijenge niuze.
Exactly. You have taken a loan to do to construct the houses and then sell to repay the loan. Then they are not done. And you had said by this time I'm starting to pay you. Yeah. You'll have thought by this time nitakuwa nimeuza moja, another 3 months another one, so I'll be able to service. Then the contractor amekuweka chini. The second thing is what we have been discussing. The person has done the houses. They have cut corners. This first day we come into the site, we kanyaga the tiles, they are cracking. You have no one to sell the house to. And suddenly, you have finished houses that cannot be occupied. The bank is on your back. That's how so many companies have. Sometimes these real estate companies or housing companies are not going down because of their own faults.
Okay.
It's something that went wrong in the system. And I think that's what Keyman Stores is trying to address. Can we have genuine people doing genuine work so that when we tell the bank by September, then the contractor has done their part, they have done finishing properly, it's constructed well, occupancy is 100%. September is start repaying. And everybody is happy. But now the problem is cheap is
expensive.
How does planning now answer that question?
It is everything. Planning is everything. Actually, they say failing to plan is planning to fail. So if you don't plan, all this can go, all good plans can go to waste. And it's very expensive in the construction sector.
So you've planned?
You have planned very well.
Very well.
Yes.
Makosa tu kidogo ikafanyika.
Yes.
Makosa kupatikana.
Yes.
Makosa ikafanyika.
Yeah.
Na kuongea ukweli, hamko mmepiga hesabu ya black cotton soil kwa field na mkafika mkaipata.
Yes.
What happens
now? There I want to disagree. Before you say my plan is ready, you should know whether you have black cotton or not.
So pia hiyo inaanza hapo kwa soil.
Hiyo inaanza hapo. Pema sana. Yeah, the moment you see the plot, somebody does a soil profile. You know where you see what is the stonework. So that you know which kind of nini will be done, how long does it take, do we need to scrape off this cotton soil or do we use pillars to support the house instead. So planning, you cannot avoid the cotton soil in the planning.
But assuming tu makosa imefanyika, si black cotton.
Yeah, but any other
makosa ingine.
Yeah, they could even be earth tremors and the building tilts. Yeah, so there are two things. One of them is having good banking systems which have insurance capacity within them.
Okay.
You see, for example, now you can take an insurance external or even through the bank. In case of such things, what happens? The insurance can decide to step in, pay on your behalf. For those 3 months you are delayed, then now you will pay the insurance plus the bank. And everybody is. So there are enough players in these Keyman stores. If you involve them, people can do very serious work.
Tunarudi tu bado kwa systems.
System is everything.
Yes. So hapo hakutakuwa ile maneno ya the cost is on you, clients.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us right now, we're talking about how cheap work becomes expensive, and you can talk to us on YouTube and TikTok and tell us your experiences of how you bought something cheap but later on ilikucost. Sawa? So Alex, kuna kitu kinasemangwa hivi, kuna mambo ambayo hayatafunzwa kwenye darasa lolote. So hii mambo ya underpricing and cheap is expensive education, kuna mahali inafunzwa hivyo ama just?
Well, I do know that in the construction industry, because there have been already colleges way back, polytechnics, the village polytechnics and the higher national diploma colleges and all. They have that People who have gone through that system are taught all these kind of things.
Yeah.
Not exactly, because again the field, and that's why we look for experience. That's why you keep asking for an experienced person. So some of these things might not be taught in school or in a class setting,
Yeah.
but in the field there are enough people with the information to
Okay.
be able to cater for that. Yeah, so that's why we always attach new people to the masters who have done the work before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by the time you navigate the
Yeah,
industry,
you have learned quite a bit.
All right.
Yes.
You have another question?
I am got an final say. We've talked about so many things.
Yes.
What is your advice now to that contractor, that engineer, ama mtu yote mwenye anataka kucost vitu ameshafanya makosa, hajui kitu ya kufanya,
Ama anataka kuavoid cheap work rather?
Tuanze na mwenye kitu ya kufanya hapo stranded.
Okay.
There could be a lot of variation, but let's just put it this way. You have realized something has gone wrong. The best thing is to own up, first of all. Take responsibility.
Yeah.
Something has gone wrong. For example, if you have gone, the house is ready, it has been painted, your finishing is fantastic, then you realize there's a crack. 2 weeks later, the crack is longer. Own up. And now look to the experts, because there will always be an expert at something. What do we do? Because the house is ready, but apparently one side is weaker. That's why it's developing a crack. What kind of support system can we use so that it does not continue cracking? So it's good to own up the mistake and now look for professionals who can, because professionals are there. I don't know what area there are no professionals who can help. So the idea is to own up to the mistake, look for people who can now address the issue. Yes.
So to that person who wants to avoid cheap pricing, underpricing.
Yeah. Those who want to avoid that, always know first of all, know your capacity.
Yeah.
Know your services. Know material costs. When you are told, quote for this, go and do a proper research. Don't say, I know that the cost of this is this. Like now, 2 weeks ago, steel was costing very different from what it is costing today because of the war. So you cannot say the price, because you bought in January, you know the pricing. Go back and find out what is the current price, so that when you quote, you have the current. So don't be lazy at pricing your work. Looking for the right material, getting the costings. You have to keep advancing yourself, getting information, so that you can utilize it now for pricing. Yes.
Athanganga is saying that ashainunua perfume. This is out of construction though. Ashainunua perfume tu mahali because it is cheap and it's the same. It's the same branding. Whatever he's used to buy, and then akienda kuspray. Sitaki kujua ni harufu gani. Sitaki kujua ni harufu gani.
Kuna swali moja.
Haina shida.
Just something. Something for Arsenal fans.
Something for?
Arsenal fans.
Oh dear, I don't even know what happened.
You don't have hauna copy?
Sina copy.
No.
No.
Yeah, they gave the trophy to Man City.
Yeah.
Game or lost?
Yeah.
Lost again.
They gave them because they gave to win.
Oh.
You know, Alex, this is that team that is used to winning. And like they are like everyone else. Si mtu anaona kila mtu si team, unaona?
So when it doesn't go their way.
Alafu siku yao ikafika.
Wanaenda
Mungu na yeye ni nani?
Next season. So you are a fan of movies. So they always have next season. So even this season is next season.
Anyway, I think that's why it is the longest running and the most admired league. Not team, league.
Karibu tukwambie sasa Alex enda sasa.
Because there are always things happening that change the context.
Yeah, and you know the only kikombe or cup they could get ni ile tu kikombe ya nini? Kikombe ya supu. Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah. Asante sana Alex for joining us today. We are always grateful for your insights here on Keyman Community Live. You can talk to people about trading with the contract and then tende tukifunga hivi.
Before I talk about trading with the contract.
Yeah.
Alex, unaweza waambia tu kitu yenye wewe unafanya and then
rudia pale, yeah.
Okay, I do corporate training. That means I train people on leadership. I train people on management. I train people on personal development. Personal development is what we talked about, the skills that you need. For example, communication, attitude, relationships, professional etiquette, how you handle yourself. All these things I train for people who are in the working space. And those people in the working space include you contractors, you in whatever specific area you are, whether you are a service provider, you are a buyer, you are a seller. There's a certain way of communicating. So those are the things that I train people on. I also have a big interest in and passion in health and wellness. And therefore, I also help people understand that they could do something with their lifestyle to avoid the big chronic diseases. And finally, I also advise people on personal finance, budgeting, saving, and actually show them areas where they could invest and earn much more. There's no need for your money to sit in the bank. It could be working for you. That's when they say, if you're not earning money when you are sleeping, then you're not totally alive.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me remind them something on your behalf that you've forgotten, that you sell a book. You've written a book called Life Skills for You, and it goes for 1,000 shillings.
Thank you.
Cindy?
Yes. Very good. Thank you. Yes. There's a book you can read for yourself or listen to it because it's also on audio. Thank you for that reminder.
All right.
Very well.
Tumalize tuende tukienda.
Asante.
Also, remember you can be able to trade using a contract on Keyman stores. And all you need to trade using a contract ni ensure that una trade na mtu mwenye ako verified. Verified means ako na bank account na ako na kale katik pale kwa store number yake ama kwa store yake. Sawa? So always remember, trade using a contract. Ukiona unataka trade na mtu na hana contract, ameweka namba yake pale, please usitumie ile namba, because if anything happens, there is no contract. You can always be able to trade using a contract. Na ukiweza kumengage on the other side of the channel, ataweza kuona kuna mtu mwenye anataka trade na yeye na anahitaji kuwa verified. So they'll be given a few some time hapo hivyo waweze kuwa verified, alafu work that way. That has been me on Keyman Community Live. This is the big voice, the real deal. My name is Brian Jenga. Tukutane kesho, same time, same place.
Na kama kawaida lazima niwapatie watu wangu shout out ambao wamekuwa wakitutazama, starting with Lucy Kare, asante sana, Athanganga, Sharon Shabil, and of course Dan Tajiri. Asanteni sana na watu wa TikTok, Guru Visuals pale, Nico the Plumber, and shout out to our director Brian, Keyman 001, Evelyn, Purity, and Blessing, and of course shout out to Alex for the insights, and my co-host Brian Jenga. And Keyman address Airbnb in Nyeri County is the place to go and relax, and of course going to the mountains, you look for adventure, go Kenya pale Instagram, because those two things, they go hand in hand. Unapanda mlima, unakuja, unashuka, unapumzika. I am your host, presenter MKP, MK, and this is Keyman Community Live.